Hi everyone, welcome back to part 8 of Let's Design a Trading Card Game. I've been testing a lot of different rules just because once they're locked in, they're kind of locked in, and I was kind of getting sick of having to change the effects of every card just to match the current rules. So that's been taking me a while. Apologize for the long time since the last video. But I've been testing a lot with my wife and some friends, and I kind of learned some stuff from that whole process. Kind of learned that everyone has different feedback, so you have to try to hear the reasons behind what people are suggesting, and not just take every suggestion you get. Because if you do that, the game will just change after every conversation, and no one will be happy with that. So it's kind of tough to pick and choose what you want to go with and what not, but that's what we're here for at the end of the day, because we're trying to make the game that we want to make. Now that I've tested, I realized I might need to branch out a bit, so I'm putting the game into Tabletop Simulator. So if anyone wants to help test the game, please leave a comment and we can test. Before I do that, I do want to have a quick how to play guide, so look out for that in the next video. I'll hopefully have a PDF of it, hopefully have it looking nice, so you can read that and prep a bit. So right now, I just want to give you all a brief explanation of the rules, another one, based on last time, because last time's a little outdated. So you may or may not recognize this playmat here. It's a new one from the old one. The old one fell apart, but the field is very similar to what it used to be, so I won't explain that too much. It's also kind of self-explanatory, I feel like. So, beginning of game, your warlord goes here. There's your warlord's health. If your warlord's health goes to 0, you lose the game. So after you and your opponent both put your warlords out, you decide who goes first with any means, and then shuffle the deck, and then you draw 5 cards. And I have a lot of pen on a lot of these cards just because I didn't want to print out every single little change, so sorry about that. It doesn't look the greatest. But after drawing, let's say I'm going first. At the beginning of my turn, I'll draw 1, but after this turn, both players always draw 2 at the start. And the reason for this is because right after drawing, you take a card from your hand and you throw it over in your stockpile. And that is an area of cards that will help you pay for the costs of certain effects. After that, since I'm going first, I can play 1 unit card. So I'll play Armor Toughs up here. He has a melee symbol, so he goes in a melee slot. And since I'm going first, like I said, you can only have 1 unit, but it can attack. So I could swing 3 at my opponent's warlord, and they can choose to block or not. Then on their turn, they get to draw 2. Then they put 1 card from hand in stock, and they can play as many units as they want. Then at the start of their battle, something different happens. It's called a break. So they go first, they take the top card of their deck without looking at it, and they place it under one of their units or their warlord. And after they place theirs, then I can place mine. So let's say I want to throw it under Armor Toughs here. Once I've thrown that, they can start attacking with their units, 1 at a time. They can attack in any column, but they can only attack the back row if my front row has no units. Since this is here, my opponent cannot attack my warlord yet because my warlord's in the back row. So let's say they swing at my Armor Tough card. I can either block or activate my break. So let's say I want to activate my break. How I do that is I can flip it, and I look at the break value up here, which is 3. So I add 3 to 5, so then my health is 8 just for this battle. So if they have a break, then they would be able to flip that as well after I'm done adding any blocks that I would want to. So after that, you basically just compare the power and the health. If their power is equal to or greater than my health, my unit is destroyed. If it is less than my health, then at the end of the battle, my unit would be flipped face down, and it doesn't count as a unit. So then, regardless if they kill my Armor Toughs or not, they can attack my Warlord after that. So Armor Toughs does have this ability where it cannot be flipped face down. So it is not a great, or once per turn. So it is not a great example for the scenario, but that's what I went with. So we're sticking with it. So they would have to attack Armor Toughs twice if he survives in order to flip him face down or kill him and then attack my Warlord. And that is basically the progression of the game. Then it's the end turn, that's my turn. I draw 2. And now since I'm not going first, I can play whatever units I would like. There are also items which go in a stack here. So I can play this item, and then I can play other items. They can also be played during the battle phase. So there's kind of like this instant speed type card to kind of give you a little edge during the battle on your turn or your opponent's turn. But I just wanted to give a little brief explanation of how the rules work. See if you have any feedback. If you do, let me know in the comments. And if you're interested in testing out Soulbreak, throw that in the comments as well. Thank you everyone for watching, and I'll see you next time. I realized I forgot to explain a few things in editing, so I'm just gonna include those now quickly. So in this pretend game I'm having, after my opponent's turn, it becomes my turn. At the start of my turn, all my face down units will be flipped face up, and all my rested units will become raised. So you're not just sitting there with this face down card during your turn, not knowing what to do with it. So it just comes right back, and you can play with it again. Then you will draw 2 cards from the top of your deck. And then I did forget to stock. Last thing that I forgot to mention was blocking, where I just said it, but I didn't explain it. So blocking is taking cards from your hand to reduce the amount of damage that you're taking, if either your Warlord or your unit. So let's say my opponent is attacking me with an Armor Toughs, and he's attacking my Warlord. They're swinging at me for 3, so I can look at my hand. Any card with a shield icon here as its health can block. This blood drop cannot block. So if my opponent is swinging with 3 at my Warlord, I can block with 1, and the damage would carry over and my Warlord would take 2. So that's a quick little explanation of blocking. The blood drop cards are usually more powerful, which makes up for the fact that they can't block. So I think that's everything that I forgot to mention in the video, but if there's any other questions you have, please do leave those in the comments.